Warning.
Hey, welcome everybody to this episode of Our Top 5. I'm Jason. This is Alice, and with me, as always, the man who in 1984 got fourth runner-up on the hit series Star Search.
I'm so glad you remember that, my friend. I love reminiscing about the Star Search days.
We were rooting for you, Ed
Thank
McMahon.
you.
That the damn Ed McMahon, though, man.
I know,
That's all I
right?
can say.
I know, man. If I wasn't competing against Britney Spears, I think I might have won that one.
I definitely would have won. Definitely would have won. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. How you doing today, man? What's popping?
I'm great, man. It was sunshiny today. It was a good day, man. Do you have a good day?
I had a wonderful day. Like you said, the sun was shining. Here it wasn't too hot. It was just right. But I believe the hot days are coming up upon us, man.
They're
But
coming.
yeah, they are coming. But nothing like Vegas, though. Nothing like the heat in Vegas.
No, it got pretty hot in Vegas over the weekend. But that'll lead us right in. I'm excited for this one, man. This was we're talking about a great movie that came out this past weekend, Army of the Dead, and
Yes.
It was good, man. Any kind of new horror movie, we're there. We're going to check it out.
We definitely are. We're going to review it and share our thoughts with you guys. Man, Jason, what were your initial thoughts before we just dive into it? Just what was your initial thoughts of the film?
The anticipation of the film really got me, man, because anything that deals with horror movies, and then you have with Zack Snyder writing and directing this movie, and of course his wife was involved in this one too, and we're coming right off the heels of his director's cut of Justice League. I mean, it was a lot of hype with this movie, and I think it lived up close to the hype that they put it. I think it lived up close to it. Not bad.
Yeah. Army of the Dead. Yeah, I think it did its job. The hype was a lot of hype, man. It was coming strong into the weekend. And they released it simultaneously in the theaters also at the same time.
Yeah.
It didn't do that great in the theaters, I don't think.
No.
My personal opinion, I thought it was awesome. I really enjoyed the movie. I thought it had some great comedy in it. I was laughing out loud at some of the parts.
Yeah.
And I actually cared about some of these characters. I did. I know there's a lot of opposing views out there, but it's doing pretty good at Rotten Tomatoes. Dave Bautista, let's give it up to him.
Yeah, he did a good job.
He did. Usually we all just know him as Drax the Destroyer from the Avengers and the Guardians of the Galaxy movies and the Avengers movies.
Or wrestling. I mean, that's where I met
wrestling.
Bautista.
Yep, you're right. Batista got to start from back then, back in the WWE. Was he wrestling The Rock and all that stuff back then?
Oh yeah, man. Yeah,
Yeah.
he was coming. He was in the Attitude Era and a little bit past the Attitude Era, or more recent than that. And he tried to get back in it at one time, and I think it was when the Guardians of the Galaxy, the first one, came out, and he tried to do like a little run in there back in the WWE, and the fans didn't take to him, so he didn't stay long.
Oh wow.
And with wrestling, the fans make or break you, so it could be any big name come back, and it's all on how they feel that day.
I wonder if that was just kind of like his thing that he was doing as a promotional run, kind of like a cross promotion thing with the WWE.
Well, yeah, because they just had a pay-per-view a couple weeks ago, and WWE did, and their sponsor for the show was Army of the Dead, and they had what's called the Lumberjack Match, and typically what that is you have two opponents that are in the ring, and they get a bunch of wrestlers around the outside of the ring. So if one of the guys on the inside gets thrown out, they can get beat up by these lumberjacks and tossed back in the ring. Well, this one, they didn't have lumberjacks. They had zombies. They had people all dressed up as zombies. And some of them were ones that you would recognize from the movie, like Elvis.
Oh, that's cool.
And different ones. And, I didn't know it because the pay-per-view for wrestling was like a week before. And my son watches wrestling, and I do too. And so we watched it, and it wasn't bad, man. It was funny. I mean, a lot of people got mad. It's like, well, I don't know if they know it or not, but wrestling's fake.
Right.
It's a show.
Yeah.
So to me, it was really cool the way they brought the zombies in. And, at the end, all the zombies got in. The guy who lost was laying there, and all the zombies got up in there, and they looked like they were eating him. So
Oh
I thought it
wow.
was cool. I mean, it's a good chuckle, but
Yeah,
anyway,
but Dave Bautista, I mean, which brought us to that subject. I mean, this is a big. I mean, he played a supporting character in the Marvel films,
yeah,
but this was a huge starring role. I mean, he was front and center of this and carried this movie on his shoulders.
yeah,
You know
it
what I
was a good
mean?
step out for him. It's a way that he got his foot on the ground, or he's done got in the door, but now he's kind of taken over a little bit. He's trying to anyway, and he did a
Yeah,
good job. I
yeah,
mean,
he
he did
definitely
good
did a good
acting.
job. Had a great cast with it as well. I love seeing our boy from Fear the Walking Dead, who just actually bid adieu there
Yeah,
a few weeks ago, and now he's made a reappearance here in Army of the Dead. Zack Snyder. I think let's take a step back. The director, you mentioned him as being, the guy who directed the film Army of the Dead. He got his start. Not didn't get his start, but he really kind of made a huge splash years ago by directing Dawn of the Dead, the remake of the Romero film,
yeah,
where he introduced the concept of it was either him or I can't remember which one came out first, 28 days later. But they introduced the concept of, I think it was Dawn of the Dead, this particular version introduced the concept of fast zombies. You know what I mean? So it
yeah.
was kind of cool to see. And Zack Snyder's been working on this film since really not too long after Dawn of the Dead, and things just kind of fell apart. So I'm glad to see that he actually got to make it again. He kind of came back to the world of the zombies and kind of made his mark in it yet again. I thought it was great. It had a lot of great action, comedy, and all of that, and I loved the acting in it. It was just good stuff for me. I enjoyed every minute of it.
Out of 10 stars, how many stars would you give it?
Ooh, 10 stars. I mean, there's definitely some things. I mean, maybe a 7, 8. I'll give it a 7 or 8.
Seven or
I'll stick
eight?
with an 8. Actually, I'll give it an 8. Yeah,
Okay, I'm going at probably about a 6 to 6.5.
six,
I'll go
six and a
six
half.
and a half. I'll go six
All right,
and a half.
what were you? What I gotta understand why. What was it that you didn't like?
Well, all right, let's
Or that
break
mark
it.
it down.
Yeah, let's break it down as scenes real quick. The opening scene where, and I, most people have probably seen this, but
Yeah, this is spoilers, guys. Full spoilers here.
yeah, it's definitely going to be spoilers. So with the army, and they're transporting this huge crate, and there wasn't a lot of security with this. To be this like how they referred to it as a weapon of mass destruction, and
Right.
it was. I mean, but not a whole lot of security detail on this, and but I enjoyed that scene because they told you how this started. I mean, a little
Yes.
bit anyway. You know how, at least what happened in this film, how it got started. We don't know
Right.
where this badass zombie came from, but we know how the show got started. So I thought that was good. I Do you agree? You like the first scene with it?
The first scene, and I think I know where you're going because as far as like some markdowns, the first scene was great, or explained some things, but there are some things if you look at it hard, and I think I know which ones you're going to go to right away in this opening scene that you're like questioning. Okay, if there have been some better moves made here,
Yeah, yeah,
that this whole thing probably wouldn't have happened. But then again, there'd be no movie then.
yeah.
But
But
I'm
it was
curious if it's the
cool.
same thoughts that you.
Yeah, I mean, it was cool. I liked it. I he turned fast, and I like that, and I'll bring that back up in just a little bit. How quick
Yeah.
they turned, and I I want to jump in. If you're, I want to jump into the next scene.
Well, I just want to say that the two things that took me out of that, and again, I gave it an 8, so I enjoyed it. But if you look at it as a film, yes, that particular opening scene, there's two things that stood out to me. One, if they're telling you to get away from that thing, it seemed like he was a little like, you know, if this is a direct order, they're telling you to move away from the thing, and he was like, "What? Huh?" You know, he just
Yep.
didn't move
He
fast,
said
tell us
what?
guys to do
Okay,
anything fast enough.
I'll be
Yeah, you
gone,
just
man.
do it. Yeah, and not only that, but then when they saw what happened, they were in a perfectly good Humvee, which just really ran off the road. I don't think it was like, broke down or anything. So what do
No.
these two soldiers do? They decide to run into the desert. You
Yeah, they
know what
did
I
the
mean?
classic horror move. Let's just run. No
Yeah.
shelter around.
Yeah, no shelter about it. And then, so I mean, I already gave it an 8, so I'm still going to stick with my 8, maybe a 7. I said 7 or 8, but then it reminded me of a little bit of the classic scene from American Werewolf in London, because as they're running in the desert, they start to hear this thing circling them. Like, what is that? What is that? And then all of a sudden, one of them falls down, and they decide to have a laugh.
Ha ha ha.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? That
Yeah.
even though you're in the midst of, you saw this thing attacking these things, you're not too far away from it. Now you're pretty sure it's circling you. You decide to laugh because your buddy fell down, and that,
And maybe
you
it
know,
wasn't, it may have been in the moment too, but and I haven't been in the respect to those who have, but I would think two guys that something was around them that would have stood back to back with their guns pointed out and just, but they were like both looking the same way and like, what was it?
yeah,
Like, well, you're gonna find out.
yeah. But no, I thought it was, again. I know I said it was great. I still, maybe if I'm talking myself into a 7 now,
Yeah,
but there were some things that, but I
still
love
I
the opening
enjoyed it.
scene.
Yeah,
I
I
did
did
too.
too. I
Yeah.
thought it was good. I have a problem with the next scene, the fall of Las Vegas.
Okay.
And my biggest problem was as soon as it started, the music that went with it, because it was a total ripoff of Dawn of the Dead when they were playing a pretty popular song by a band called Disturbed, Down with the Sickness, and they gave it that same kind of like jazzy kind of sound. And they kind of did it the same thing. I was like, I wouldn't have done that, man. I just think that that's
Well, I gotta ask you then, are you talking about the remake of Dawn of the Dead?
the remake. Yeah.
Well, then that's Zack
Because
Snyder zipping him. He's ripping himself off.
and I did think, because you said he started writing it right after that one, then I was like, okay, well, okay,
You
I
know?
understand. And other than that, everything was cool. And I love the one part where the Eiffel Tower is falling and he's like singing, then he goes, watch out, Elvis. I
Yeah.
liked it, man. I liked it, but I couldn't help but think that I was like, dude, this was in Dawn of the Dead when they played, the song by Disturbed. And I was like,
Right.
I don't know if I would have done the same thing, but it was still cool. And a lot of people they might have not have picked up on that from Dawn of the Dead, but
Yeah.
but it's there to me. I've seen it and I liked it in Dawn of the Dead, and I liked this one too. But I thought, well, you know, but it was
Yeah.
good. I love the part where the one zombie was chasing him and he jumped up on the car and they were just shooting like this big M60 or whatever it was. And
Yeah.
he just was like blowing apart. It was gory. So, I mean, on my gore chart, I'm ranking it up like an 8.5,
Right.
definitely. The whole
Yeah. No,
movie.
I do recall that scene you're talking about. Yeah, that gun was just blowing him that thing away, man. Just that was still in the opening scenes, like you said. Yeah. Um, I thought the opening scenes were good. I liked the fall of Vegas. I was a little confused at I just it wasn't clear what they were doing until afterwards that they had been sent in to rescue the secretary.
Yeah.
Is that kind of what? And then also had their team member, and maybe once we talk about this, I'll explain what I'm talking about, but I think maybe my answers will come later on. Um, and I think they will actually now that I'm thinking about it. But you see the soldier lady who was part of their team. I guess was she looking for her daughter? Was that her
Yeah.
daughter she found
I'm pretty sure that was her daughter. And then she
the whole
found her. And
time?
yeah.
And then they were okay getting out. But what I was saying is, all right, now that I'm talking it out, I guess that's what was happening. But it just kind of started in the middle of the story. But I think what we're going to do, and which is why this movie also gets higher ratings for me, this is the beginning of a lot of different things. I think. I don't think this is just Army of the Dead and we're done. I mean,
No,
we're
I've
gonna,
already heard like one thing said that there was going to be 10 of these, and one of them said there was going to be a prequel. And I'm actually hoping that the prequel shows more about, because I don't think Dave Bautista, I don't think that him and the rest of those people were actually soldiers. I think they were just people that were like the one lady we were just talking about, her with her daughter. When they
yeah,
showed her at the beginning, she was, and even the pictures they kept showing, they weren't like showing them in army suits. They were showing them in their everyday clothes with their
so they're
family.
mercenaries.
Yeah. So I think they just like, this is what became of them. It's like if zombie apocalypse happened now and you and I survive, a few years from now, we would be these tough, like guys who knew how to take care of themselves.
Right. See, I don't know. I might have to. We might have to disagree on that one a little bit. I think they were definitely in some. You think they just kind of came together as a team during that Vegas thing?
Yeah, I think so. I think they were there at Vegas for whatever, they lived there or they worked there or whatever. Because,
Yeah.
you know, it's just
Yes.
funny that if all of them were soldiers, they were there, with their
Uh,
families. And
yeah. See, that's what I'm saying. I think, and I think we're going to get. Actually, I know what we're going to get is an animated prequel, which is going to show us the fall of Vegas.
It's going to
So
be
some of these
animated.
talking, it's going to be animated, yeah,
Well, that would be
voiced by
cool.
the same people who were doing the voice of Batista and all of that stuff. So I think maybe we'll get more of the extended version of this Vegas story. You know what I mean? A little bit of background and all of that stuff with it. But I would disagree that they just came together during then, because there was too much history alluded, between him and the other, his right hand lady that was within
Yeah.
the team. You know what I mean? It just seemed like they had a lot of history between them as opposed to just coming. Because how long had it been? 6 months, or how long was Vegas supposed
No,
to have
I
been?
think it was like three
A couple of
years.
years? Has it been 3 years? Okay,
Yeah,
so
I
it's been
think
3 years.
they don't talk about that a whole lot, but just judging by a couple of things I picked up on, it was like 3 years.
Yeah, and so not only was this a cool zombie, a new twist on a zombie movie, because of course the different variations of zombies that they had. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I like that. I
Yeah,
did like that.
you know how if you got bit by the main man, or what was his the May I can't remember his name on the show or the movie, but if you got bit by him or somebody, then you would become very similar to him, right? Kind of
Yeah,
conscious and have part
super
of that
strength.
variety. Yes, and super strength and stuff like that. But then you became a rambler. It kind of got diluted, right? The more bites that happened, and that
Ones
what
that
they call them.
we're used to those type.
Yeah, which we didn't get to see really. Well, I guess we got to see that comical a few times, but definitely in the comedy moment when they were trying to find one to kind of get into the safe and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
But most of them were all dried out there in the sun,
Oh,
so
and
we
that
didn't
was
get to
awesome
see.
too. What she was talking about, if it rains, they come back for a little while.
Yeah, so
That would be an awesome thing to see. I hope they include that.
I think we will. And like I said, this is just the beginning of a lot of different things. Um, there was talk of, time loop going on within the film. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? When they were like, so I think that's been broached that perhaps that's something like that's happening. There's also talk that there's aliens, because to your point, Jason, we don't know where that zombie came from. We got to see how it started. And yes, Vegas started, but this is a different type of zombie, like we spoke about, because first of all, you know, his hair is growing.
Yeah.
I mean, when the movie started, he's had the buzz cut, so he might have been a soldier who was just recently infected, for all we know. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And then as the movie goes on, or you said 3 years later, it's definitely his hair's grown. These zombies can, you
Well,
know,
you brought up a couple of good points there with the time warp, some kind of time loop. When they were trying to get to the safe at that one point, they looked down, and I don't know if they just imagined these people wearing the same type of clothes. Like one of them had the necklace on with the key, and the other one had the
yeah,
bandana, and the shirt matched the helicopter pilot. And also when they were trying to get out of there, when all hell started breaking loose, when they were trying to get away from the vault, when one of them came around the corner, their eyes were glowing.
yeah,
Well, and he got shot and killed. They shot and killed it, but when they shot it, the eyes were glowing, and I was like, well, why were the eyes glowing? And it was
yeah.
just that like one that I've kind of, it may have been more, but that's what I picked up on that one.
I think I know what you're talking about you said when they very first came down to the vault, the zombies were
Yeah.
attacking them and they were trying to get out. Yeah. I do know exactly what the scene you're talking about. And I do recall seeing something like that, and it did stand out to me. So good, no,
Yeah.
good call on that one. Um, but no, I think this is just the beginning of a whole new type of a whole new trilogy, or however what they're going to do with it, because we're going to get there's a lot of unanswered. It leaves it open for a sequel. There's a lot of unanswered things. We don't know, like you said, if it was an alien that infected these things. These are different types of zombies. They could be impregnated, which I thought that was a
Yeah, that
really,
was crazy too.
yeah, you know what I mean? And they actually had love for each other and could pair off and be a couple. It was just, definitely
And the
um,
tiger.
the tiger. Yeah, animals can become infected in this, which is definitely
Yeah.
unusual in some of the other zombie fare that we see. He's riding around on the zombified horse,
Yeah, that was
almost
crazy
like a White
too.
Walker.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, because in Walking Dead, that type of show, those zombies, they just eat the animals. That's why you don't see any animals anywhere. Well, you got dog now, but in Dawn of the Dead, they actually used the dog to lower it off the roof and get supplies over to the guy in the gun shop. And
hmm
the zombies there didn't even worry about the dog. So it
yeah.
was different. The tiger was just awesome, man. And that they put that back to who is it? Sigmund and Roy or whatever. The said it was
Siegfried
one
and
of the,
Roy.
Yeah, sexual
Yeah.
war. And yeah, this is one of their cats. So that was pretty cool that
Yep.
they tied it back around. But that was good.
Yeah.
And a lot of action, a lot of guts, a lot of gore. Uh, the ending, were you satisfied with the ending?
Yeah. Cause hey, I was. I mean, it sucked. I would have liked to have seen him actually maybe make it. You know, if anybody was going to make it, I would have liked. Well, anybody. I would like to see anybody, but I thought he had. And then, but that's what makes it a good ending, though, is because no one from that team, except for the daughter, no one from that team survived. You know what I
Well,
mean? And
what
it
about
leaves it
what's
right
his
open to a
name?
sequel.
What about his right hand man that was locked up in the vault? How he got out?
That's what I'm saying. He didn't make it.
Well, he started changing. I mean, he was turning into a walker, but or a zombie, a walker.
Yeah.
But they were going to Mexico City. So if there's going to be a second one to
Sequel.
this, it's going to
Yeah.
be Mexico City.
That's what I was talking about. Yeah, he did. You know, he didn't make it. It sucked. There will be definitely a sequel to it. But here's a question: you brought him up. Why didn't he change? Why hadn't he changed? See, these are the other questions. You
Hey,
know what I
well,
mean?
but I said that a minute ago when the first soldier was bitten, he changed within a few seconds. Bautista, I keep calling him Bautista, I can't remember his name in the show, but when he was bitten on the helicopter before it crashed, and then he's laying out there, you know, had long enough to do his dialogue with his daughter and, you know, get through all that. And then he died and then he came back. But it was a slow change. Why didn't he change faster?
Ah, very good point. Very good point. And that's a good question. I don't know. I think that who knows? Maybe then that's saying that no, because that doesn't make sense because Batista was bitten after um the dude in the vault. Um so I was gonna say maybe it was his bite was being diluted as he went on and people were taking longer to change. But you know, because but that the dude in the vault, I mean, he'd been hours. I can't, you know,
Oh yeah.
he'd walked out of Vegas, you know what I mean, and found
Well,
some
they
deserted house and drove and went to the airport. And he'd been bitten for hours and hadn't changed and still
yeah.
didn't look like he was about to change right then either.
Well, it could have been a
Maybe he
couple of
was. They just getting
days.
cold. Yeah.
We
So
don't know how long he was down there and how he got out, but you know, all I was thinking was like, man, they should have just got in the vault and waited
yeah, you know,
till it was done. And then, but yeah, he had the money and everything. He was ready to go. I would have liked to have seen him live
that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
and him be the star. And really, what I thought was really going to happen is Batista was bitten, and I think in my mind I was waiting for like the army to show up, grab him, and throw him in one of those containers, and he would
Mm,
be the next big zombie because he was bitten by the head one. So
yeah,
he's
by
going to
the
be,
alpha.
and he's big and strong. So he would be the new alpha.
Yeah.
That's what I thought was going to happen.
It would have been, I mean, yeah, so I think unless we'll only see him in the prequels, unfortunately, it sounds like. But I and Omari Hardwick, the guy that's we're talking about here, that's his real name. You know, he could still be in the
He could
star
be.
of the movie, or he could be the new alpha, or maybe for whatever reason he doesn't change all the way, or now he's able to, maybe because of the bomb, the nuclear bomb that went off, maybe he's kind of able to
Oh,
be some type of hybrid
yeah,
or
I didn't think about
something.
that.
You know what I
What,
mean? And have all of their
whatever it
powers, but
is
not the
he's going to be a pretty tough guy, man. If he's the
yeah.
alpha guy, I mean, that's a big guy, man. You know, he was bigger than the original alpha. You know, he was a big
Yeah.
dude.
Yeah, so maybe he will be the alpha, or maybe I like the. I think it would be a cool little twist if he didn't turn because of the nuclear fallout or whatever, but it still has all of their skills. You know what I mean? And so somehow, or maybe he's fighting against it the whole way, and he's able to do that or something. But, you know, maybe he's still almost like a Blade. I'm going kind of Blade with this one, you know,
All I know
except
is
for vampires,
a guy
zombies.
that is not like physically fit at all. Every time I watch a movie like this, like when he was out in the desert and he's digging up his big chop saw and everything, and
Yeah,
I'm sitting there like, why you got to have your shirt off, man? Why you got
right.
to be out there? You out there showing your muscle to nobody, man.
Right.
Come
He's hot,
on.
man. He was hot.
Yeah, I was like,
Yeah.
dang on, you be out there flexing to everybody.
But there was also, I mean, there's also other things that are unknown. The government was obviously working with, you know, the guy who wanted this stuff from Vegas. You know, the government wants to weaponize this, you know. So I mean, there's just so many things and ways that that this story can go. And I really, like I said, I'm kind of excited to see where they do take it, because I think this is gonna, we've got a
Did
lot
you
of
think
ways.
it was about money at first? I mean, was that your initial? Did you think there was something else going on, or?
I actually thought that was it. I mean, I was gullible enough to think that was until, I mean, and then no, I guess until old boy goes with him and then starts acting shady almost from the first minute. But no, initially I thought that's what it was,
Yeah,
But then the dude from the Fear the Walking Dead guy, who was the double agent or whatever. I mean, once he got involved, he was pretty much, I was like,
yeah.
okay, there's something
Well, I
else
knew
going
he
on there.
was. Yeah, as soon as he said, "Well, he's going with you," I said, "Oh man." What I thought was going to happen as soon as they got the 400 million up to the helicopter, it was going to be his job to off everybody and then
Okay.
just fly out. And then they got the 400 million instead of the 350 and all that. But yeah, the queen that he killed, dude, she was an awesome zombie, one of the best zombies I've ever seen, especially the way that she acted, and she was a fast one, and she was intelligent, and she was pregnant, which is
Yeah.
odd, but the way she like jumped on the car, the way she looked around, I loved the look of the zombies in this movie, especially
Yeah.
the ones that were with the alpha side of it. I like those.
Yeah. No, I thought they did a great job with that as well. And like I said, it definitely reinvented the zombie, or it was a different type of zombie thing because of the way that they had personalities almost.
Yeah,
Um, you know what I mean? I would go so far as to say that, I mean, and then show the emotion and everything. It was definitely, um, yeah, it was a movie that it had a lot of hype behind it, but I really, and for 2.5 hours long too. When I saw that, I was like, man, 2.5 hours long. I was
yeah.
like, but I was
I
like,
didn't know it was going to be that long.
yeah,
I
I
thought
didn't
it was
either
going to be a
until I saw it.
regular. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, because
but then,
I didn't start watching it till like 10:30 at night, and I was like, man, it just kept going, and then I looked at the clock. I was like, woo. But
yeah,
no, I will say, even though it was 2.5 hours, I was interested. It kept me in it the whole time. The action, the plot, it did keep me in it. And there was just a few things that didn't make sense to me, but that's why my score was a little bit lower. But
right.
some things didn't make sense, and
Well, no,
it
I
is
think
what it is.
I would go with that as well. I mean, if we really dive into it, like I said, the first two things I pointed out about the beginning of the film, if like, oh, that didn't make a lot of sense. And if I'll say this too, if that's all they needed to do, why keep setting is to just grab the zombie or the alpha girl's head, dude? That seems like a much easier mission
They were
to
right at the
just
door. They
say,
could have just got that. Yeah,
yeah,
they
or
could have
to not,
just.
or that's not even just, yeah, I mean, if that's what they said, if they knew that's what they were going in there for, then then we'll pay you this much money or whatever it was. It just seems like just tell the team that's what to do and then get out. It seems
Yeah.
like you would have had the job done much easier. You know what I
Well,
mean?
I
As
don't
opposed
even.
to
He
going after
wouldn't
that
even have
money.
needed a crew or anything. I mean, the one lady could have got him in. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
the
And she could
coyote.
have.
Yep.
Yeah, the coyote. She could have got him in and just said, "Hey, she'll be here in a minute.
Yeah.
Let's just take her out and we'll run back through the door, and then nuke the place, and we're good."
Yeah. So,
That would have been
yeah,
a short movie.
it would have been. But I don't even know if they necessarily needed hers. I think that's just who we happened to get. I think they could just need really any zombie that was like them.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
That was from the alpha line would have
yeah.
done. He just happened to get her just so, of course, for the plot, for them to be like, oh, we're coming to get you guys now. You know what I mean? Um, and all of that. But yeah, it was. I will say this too. It was definitely had the ability to give you some suspense, at least for me.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that the kitchen scene, when in the very beginning, when you really find out Garrett Dillahunt's character, the guy from the Fear the Walking Dead, when you really find out how much of a shitty character he
Yeah, what
is.
a jerk, man.
Yeah, when they were, but I was like, why would she say that right before they're about to go? I was
Yeah,
like, people say the dumbest things. I'm like, you
yeah,
say something when everybody's around, not when you're
yeah.
about to follow his lead into you know, after
And
this,
she was
we're gonna have a
tough.
serious discussion. Dude, she was badass. I actually wanted her. This is gonna lead me to another thing that I thought was kind of dumb. Even though I'm describing a great scene because I thought it was really suspenseful when she was when they were walking through and having to follow the lights, and then when she got left herself and then started fighting. I mean, she was badass. She was fighting her way out of that thing. And he thinks she makes her way to the door. He locks the door. She's locked in. But then she comes busting through the window,
Shooting.
shooting. And she's not bitten yet. What does everybody do? They watch her fight.
Yeah.
There's no help. I'm like,
Yeah. And
You
it
know, they were
wasn't,
already pissed about it. They're like, I can't believe you left her there. You did something. And then she comes through and they're like, just watch
yep,
her.
too
And
late
they
for her.
don't,
Let's go.
but they don't help. They don't help her. They could have because she wasn't bitten yet. You know what I mean?
They
She could have made it. And
they
then
could have
like,
saved her.
yeah, and then said, you know, so just I thought that was kind of dumb. But I thought the scene leading up to that with her in that kitchen, I
Oh
thought was really
yeah, man.
really
Yeah, she
thriller.
was fighting, man. And yeah, the guy Garrett that played the character, yeah, he was totally different in this movie than he was in the Fear the Walking Dead, because he was such a nice, good character in Fear the Walking Dead. And
Old John Dory. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, man. Loved his character in that.
Yeah, me too.
Not in this
Yeah.
one though.
No, he's done a he usually plays kind of an ass in films. In most films I've seen him in, he's always
Yeah.
kind of a cocky brash ass, you know what I mean?
His
So
kill was great though. I love
yeah,
that. That was
the tiger
gory.
got his
It
ass.
was
Yep.
nice. It was a nice one.
It definitely was. It
And
definitely
the
was.
helicopter pilot was green screen in the whole movie. She wasn't
Yes.
there on location at all because of some situation with the original person who was
Yeah,
supposed to.
Chris D'Elia, I believe, was the
Yeah.
original stand guy, you know, the comic relief. And then he
Hmm.
got caught up in that scandal talking to underage girls and stuff. So they removed him completely. She's never met Bautista. She's never met, you know, and this is the first, I think I've seen Tig Notaro. She's a famous comedian. Um, and I think this is the biggest role I've ever seen her in.
Yeah, same here.
And I thought she did a really good job, you
I
know,
did
for with
too.
all the everything that
I
she had
had
to
no
work with and
idea.
all.
I didn't find that out until I think after I watched it the first time that she wasn't there. And I was like, wow, man, she did a great job acting. And you know, the graphics were great, the way they put people together. So
Yep.
it was fun.
No, dude. Yeah. It was a good movie, man. I really enjoyed it. Again, I'm gonna go with a 7.5. Okay. I'm gonna go with 7.
I'm coming
I'm
up
gonna
to
give it that.
I'm moving up to a 7 from a 6.5. I'm going up to a 7.
Okay.
So I thought it was good. It was good.
All
I would
right.
definitely watch it again. I would definitely recommend
Oh, me
people to
too.
watch it. And if you're a horror fan, you might think down about it a little bit. If you're a Zack Snyder and horror fan, you're really going to enjoy the movie.
Yeah, I actually was talking to a friend of mine and I was telling him about the film, and I actually described it as more of an this is before I actually saw it though, but to me even it was more of like an action adventure with horror
Yeah.
aspects to it.
Yeah. The
You
Goonies
know
on
what I mean?
steroids.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It was an action. Yeah. That's before I saw it, but that's just how it seemed to me. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? With a lot of the horrific aspects, not really a pure horror, but
Yeah.
an action horror. So, but no, great movie. Definitely very entertaining in my opinion. And I'm actually looking forward to the world that this is creating. You know,
Yeah.
I can't
I
wait to
am
see what's
too.
next.
Yeah. Same here.
Yeah, man.
Awesome, man. Well, that was a good review. And look for us next week. We'll be back with another one.
Indeed, guys. Don't forget, hit the like, hit the subscribe button, comment, let us know what your thoughts were. We're really excited to hear from you. Let us know what you want us to do next.
Sounds good. Thanks, Lee.
All right, Jason. Have a good one.